Moving Beyond Anti-Bias Activities from the book Equity and Diversity. Adopting an anti-bias perspective requires more than implementing a few well-meaning activities. Instead, doing so asks educators to think differently about their work, take personal and professional risks, and put new ideas and beliefs into practices. It's an opportunity to come together as a team, to challenge each other, to hold each other accountable. It's important that we do professional development in this area so that we can take those risks and come up with new ideas. What is anti-bias education? I want you to pause right here and go ahead and stop and write your own definition of what is an anti-bias education. According to our book says anti-bias education is a way of teaching that supports children and their families as they develop a sense of identity and fairness in a highly diverse and still inequitable society. It helps children learn to be proud of themselves and their families, respect a range of human differences, and recognize unfairness and biases and speak up for the rights of others. After hearing that, what do you think about your definition? What would you add or change to it? What do you think about what the book says? What are your reflections on that? I want you to take time, again, to reflect on your practices and your beliefs. This is a great opportunity to do that. And how does all of this connect to working with our families? Children tell us every day through their comments, play, and peer interactions that they notice social issues and are curious about differences and want to know more. So, what do school and educators need to do? When it comes to talking about race, class, gender, family structure, or ability, teachers might consciously, or even unconsciously avoid elaborating on these topics. If children are asking about these topics, it's important to ask them what do they want to know about it. Try to really make relationships with the children and their families so that you can dig into these topics. We shouldn't be shying away from them. We should actually be pulling ourselves closer to them. Anti-bias education happens in both planned curriculum and natural teachable moments based on children's conversations and play. Anti-bias education calls on teachers to examine their own expectations, experiences, beliefs, and assumptions in order to push past misinformation and biases that kept us from noticing how an early childhood program may be undermining some children's identities and reinforcing hurtful stereotypes. It's really important that when we call out an activity and question it, that we are looking at it from a lens that will allow us to see a broader picture. That some of the things that have been taught in the past, that you have perhaps been taught in the past, or the education system that you might have been brought up in, had a different lens, a different focus at that time. And it's important now to really stand strong and working with anti-bias education to make sure our curriculum, our activities, our classroom, our environment, everything that a child will take in a day is they see themselves in it. They see their community in it. They really see and feel that they could be who they want to be. Let's take a closer look at anti-bias education. There are 4 core goals of anti-bias education, and they are identity, diversity, justice, and empowerment. Starting out with identity, we need to make visible and support each child's specific social identity in the classroom environment, in the curriculum, and in social interactions. This is where I can see that your environment has to be set up to make every child feel like they belong, whether that is images of children that look like them, maybe the dolls in the classroom, but whatever it is, the materials in the classroom itself, it needs to make sure that it represents them and it represents your community and represents their family. And we want to nurture children's sense of self, which is centered in the social identities of their families by treating each family with respect and care. This is where we're truly listening to the families and making sure that they feel like they're a partner in their child's education. The second one is diversity. It is how people respond to differences that teaches biases and fear. So we want to explore with children and families the ideas that we share that are similar and the needs. We want, such as like food, shelter, love. These are needs. We want to make sure we go down that road and talk about that. The things that we do have the same and the things that are different as well. We want to support children's cognitive and emotional growth. And we want to do that through rich conversations and vocabulary and making sure we're talking about human differences and the sameness. We want to talk about the many kinds of diversity present among the children in the group, even when they come from similar racial, cultural, economic, class, and family backgrounds. We know no two children are alike. Even within the same family, in the same community, children are not the same. So we need to make sure that we are addressing that. In past, we've done a lot of different kinds of activities that will help with that conversation, but it has always been led by what the children have said or the family has brought to us. We make sure we follow their leads. Remember, they are the experts. The third goal is justice. We want to construct a strong self-concept or develop respect for each other. They must know that how to identify and resist hurtful and stereotypical and inaccurate messages or actions directed toward them or others. We want to help children learn to contrast inaccurate, untrue ideas or images with accurate ones, and help children expand their understanding of how people are hurt by stereotyping and unfair treatment. We need to bring this awareness to them so that in the future they can learn from that. And then the fourth goal is empowerment. This is an awesome part. We want to empower all our families and children that we work with. And so we need to engage in dialogue about their feelings and ideas regarding unfair situations and provide accurate information about that situation. And with children, we can plan and carry out actions to change unfair to fair. This is where some advocacy on grassroots level come from. We can really help children work with that and do things based on things that they feel are unfair and work with them and have them be part of the solution and having those conversations with them so we can change that situation from unfair to fair. Framework for anti-bias teaching. As teachers, we need to develop a tool for keeping anti-bias issues alive in the curriculum and in the forefront. And the book has 5 key things for you to think about and to implement for your framework. Of course, your framework will look a lot different than what the book is describing because it's unique to you, your classroom, and your school. But the first one is an entry point. And entry points include identifying, provoking, or uncovering themes that children are thinking about or demonstrating in their play, or perhaps something that a family brings to you or brings to your attention, or perhaps a child brings to you in your setting. Entry points are what are teachers, children, and families thinking about. Those are your aha moments. Those are your beginning things to think about as you work through this framework. So it has to be something that is important to the families, the children, to your program. It has to be meaningful. It has to be purposeful. So yes, there might be some trends going on in this world, but is that meaningful or purposeful to your families or the community in which you live in? Remember, we need to make it applicable to the everyday lives of the families we serve. The second part is feelings. It's important to identify feelings as an educator related to anti-bias issues. So what feelings come up for you? You want to consider how you feel initially around the topic, how you react initially, Respond based on your personal experience and fill about the discussing a topic with children and families. We are not going to always be comfortable with everything that we communicate with our families. That is not, teaching is not an easy field that way. We have to say a lot of things that are difficult. However, we need to understand where all of this is coming from within us. And we just need to be present and aware. And once we are there, we then can make changes as well to ourselves, as well as helping the families and the community that we serve. The second two is thinking and responding. So you want to be considering a plan. What might be most meaningful to explore with children? So we can't take on everything, right? So we need to pick the topic that is most important and thinking about potential next steps. Documentation is critical in inspiring teachers' thinking. So put that question up somewhere where you're constantly seeing it, and or images as you see children demonstrate certain things. You want to consider, are you doing this individually or with your team or your colleagues? By doing more research about the topic, are you needing more research about the topic? And where does that research come from? Do you ask families? Do you research it online? Do you go to your colleagues? Do you go to maybe experts in the field? Analyzing and reviewing documentation. It is not a one and done thing. As you do this, you will create your documentation. You will bring it all together, but then you got to review it and then mold it and change it as you go along, because you've gained new insights. The children have gained new insights, and same as the family. And then whether an issue feels appropriate to discuss with the program's children or family or not. Maybe it doesn't. Maybe it does. That's up to you to decide after you've analyzed and looked through all of your information. And then you're going to respond. In this responding phase, teachers plan and implement intentional, specific experiences. Teachers choose curriculum changes to implement in the moment and through long-term planning. So again, this is not a one and done thing. This is a long-term, but there's things that you will do right at that moment, right away, and then there's things that you project out and that you will continue to do and work on as time goes on. So you want to make sure that you want to think about how you implement a curriculum that will support learning. It always has to be purposeful and intentional. And then the last one they talk about is sharing. So sharing is a form of advocacy. So you want to look at that documentation that you've created and consider the ways you can share it with the children, the teachers, the families, your colleagues, the early childhood education field. So whether this is a one piece of paper with some a narrative on it and a little description with some pictures, whether it is as simple as that or maybe a presentation at a national conference. Either way, you need to think about your audience and really who needs to hear it and how are you going to present this information. Because we need to continue to do that. We need to continue to advocate for all anti-bias curriculum and framework and making sure that it stays on everybody's forefront as well. This makes learning visible. It is an important step to the whole framework process. In conclusion, there are some things that I want you to take away and to think about after you've read this chapter. The first is that we need to make a commitment to anti-bias work. It is so important. It cannot be underestimated, the power that it will serve. And we need to make sure that we challenge ourselves and we really listen to what our families and children are saying and doing. It is not just a one-person type of curriculum. It really takes everybody on board to make this work. And the more that you dig into it, yes, it might be uncomfortable, but the easier it'll get as we move forward. And we also have to have tools for staying on track. That's why this framework that has been presented in this book is so important. It allows us a guide to make sure that we are staying focused, staying true to our mission, and the purpose of doing this. And if something you start moving off somehow, you can come back to that framework. Keep that posted up somewhere. Keep those steps so that you are aware of it. Make sure that you are keeping maybe the question you have or the research that you have in mind up and visible in your classroom. And write notes on it. Keep pictures, keep images, so that you're always thinking about this and that you become more comfortable in this process. So that we know that having this framework, it will support educators as they learn to consider these deeper issues around anti-biases and become more holistic and intentional in our practices. Implementing purposeful curriculum to move the work in the classroom forward is what we're really striving for. And as we're doing this, we're creating a very rich environment where children can use language and experiences to broaden their understanding of diversity. And we know the more experiences that they have, the more easily they can take on an anti-bias approach themselves. And isn't that really what we're working for? And to keep this at the forefront, to keep our mission on this, we need to gain administrative support and dedicated meeting time for this educational work. So we need to make sure that it is a priority by providing funds, times, and resources behind this. We've got to get everybody on board, and teachers can use a model of collaboration and specific protocols to guide their conversations and review dilemmas in children's work. We need to work as a team. I often do that as well, working with teams on things. Basically, we can't just consider this as I did this one time and therefore we are good. It should be always an ongoing process that we will always be working and striving for. So if need, review this chapter, review that framework, and see what yours will look like. What will you do with this information as you move into being a classroom teacher or to enhance your teaching practices that you currently already have?